here once again with the Parkland Institute. Many familiar faces and some new faces here. Anytime I'm at a Parkland conference, it's a real privilege, whether I'm in the audience or whether I'm speaking, as I'm invited to do once in a while. Parkland Institute, as we all know, is a very important part of the political and economic culture of Alberta and indeed of Canada. I'm going to go deep into the history of Alberta and give you a sense from my view of sort of the cultural, historic DNA of this province when it comes to relationships between government and corporations, especially the oil industry. So in the beginning, there was Donald Smith. Let's move on to the next generation, literally the next generation. I mentioned that Isabella Sophia Hardesty had 6 brothers. One of them was named William. He married a woman named Mary. William and Mary had a daughter named Isabella Clark Hardesty. Isabella Clark Hardesty, born on the shores of Great Slave Lake, spent her early years in the subarctic. These are remarkable, remarkable women and men, and remarkable life stories. James Lougheed, though, is very talented, very ambitious, highly energetic. He becomes Conservative Party leader in the Senate for many years, federal cabinet minister. Peter Lougheed has a very interesting boyhood because James Lougheed dies about 1926. He has this vast amount of real estate, among other businesses, but the Depression hits in 1929. By about 1934, the whole empire collapses. And the city of Calgary repossesses the great mansion that had been, where royalty and prime ministers and so on had all stayed. The city of Calgary has to repossess that mansion for unpaid taxes. Nonetheless, Peter Lougheed, of course, becomes one of the most powerful premiers in the history, not just of Alberta, but of Canada. And he uses government to advance the oil industry. He doesn't, he holds the industry to account in a way that no other premier does. Nonetheless, it's very much a merging of government and the oil industry. So Syncrude would never have been developed if it hadn't been for Peter Lougheed directly investing large amounts of public money. The University of Calgary, which I write about at some length in my book, it's truth that is stranger than fiction. If I had written those accounts as fiction, people would have laughed it off. The web between the industry and the University of Calgary is that intimate. And so on it goes. At the bottom, the Wild Rose Party, I make the case that the Wild Rose Party, in the years of Daniel Smith and so on, was essentially a creation of the oil industry. And that party has, of course, merged into the United Conservative Party. So what we have, I believe, and it's partly or largely because of our history, but we're not trapped by our history. However, if we don't know our history, of course, we can't really tell where we're going to go. I believe that we have this whole series of public institutions, political parties, agencies, regulators, and so on in orbit around the oil industry, and that the history of this province explains how that came to be.